Okay, and we're back. Now, in the video just before this, I just did this problem right. Sorry, zoomed in a little bit. I just did this problem right here. Number 1, 2x plus 4 is greater than or equal to 24. And we got after we solved it, we had x is greater than or equal to 10. And we had a closed circle. And then from here, we had an arrow pointing this way that represented all of the numbers that we could plug into this inequality that would be greater than or equal to 10. So like 10 is equal to 10, 11 is greater than or equal to 10. So we have all of these numbers to the right. Now, what you are going to do, you're going to work through the odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. A couple of these have some interesting things going on with the inequalities that we kind of have to talk about right now. So I'm going to do it as quickly as possible and hopefully it makes sense. If it doesn't, it's okay. Just email me, ask me questions, or if you're in period 2 or 3, email Mr. Meyer as well. Or, if you don't want to email me at all and you want to learn on your own, just search the internet. So that's always a tool there for you. Anyways, we're going to get into number 4. I want to work on number 4 because this is very similar to the problems that you're going to do over here in the odd numbers. So the steps, again, just to kind of reiterate, it's isolate the variable and then you're going to graph the solution. Now those are two kind of vague steps because by now you should have a pretty good grip on how to isolate the variable. But if you don't, it's okay because we're going to still practice at it. It's the same thing as when solving a typical equation. Now I'm going to copy this equation over here on the side. So it's minus 4 minus, and then in parentheses, minus 4 plus x is greater than 56. Okay, now I'm going to make a mistake without you guys really knowing what it is in the beginning, and then I'll go back and show you why it's a mistake. So right here, what we want to do is we want to we could do two different things. We could do -4 times what's in the inside by distributing. So that's -4 times a -4, that's positive 16. And then -4 times a positive x is negative 4x greater than 56. So you could do that. That's distributing first. Or if you want to have a shortcut, you can actually divide each side. So I'll write it up here. This is the other way. So same problem in parentheses, greater than, this is a greater than sign. Making it look worse. Greater than 56. Now, instead of doing this distributive property, you could actually do this whole side divided by -4, or each side divided by -4. So what's -4 divided by -4? Those cancel out, and 56 divided by 4, you get, what is that? Off the top of my head, I don't have a calculator. What that goes into 48 12 times. And then, what is that, 14? I think that's 14. Let's check. 4 times 4, 16. 4 times 1, yep. Okay, cool. So now, we could do it that way. You just divide by -4 from both sides first, or if you want to do the distributive property, you can do that as well. I'm going to go with the distributive property down here, because that's probably what most of you are going to do first. And I haven't made the mistake yet that I was talking about. I'm going to make that in a second. So now we're still trying to isolate the variable. What we want to do is we want to leave this piece alone, and we want to subtract 16 from both sides. We want to group the numbers together, but one at a time, not the 16 and the -4 all at once. So if we subtract 16 from this side, we get 0. And then 56 minus 16 is 40. Now here's a mistake. I won't say it just yet, but right here, just like in the other video when we divided by 2, where I'm going to divide by a -4 from both sides. And I get x is greater than -10. So you probably didn't notice the mistake. That's because there's a rule in inequalities that you cannot, or not, sorry, not you cannot, but once that you divide or multiply across this, there's like a barrier here. So if this is our inequality, once you multiply, so multiply or divide by a negative number across the inequality sign, you have to change the direction of the sign. So hopefully you can read that. So once you multiply or divide by a negative number across, so we divided each side by -4, you have to actually change the direction of this sign. So really, I'm gonna start from here again. So we have -4x greater than or equal to 40, and then we were gonna divide by -4. And we had x is greater than -10, but we actually need to change the direction of that sign. And now, so this is our solution. Here, I'll explain this in a second. This is our solution. This one is wrong. This is our real solution. So how we would graph that is what numbers are less than -10. So in the other video, we had a closed circle. That's because we had an equal to and greater than. In this solution, whenever you have just a less than or a greater than, it's going to be an open circle at that number. So at -10, we're gonna have an open circle. So we don't really have a point there. We just have an open circle. Now, what numbers are less than -10? Well, -12 is less than -10. So if I want to check -12, is that less than -10? That's true. Is -14 less than -10? That is also true. Now, this is why we have a closed circle. Is -10 less than -10? No, it is not. Over here, if we plugged in 10 is greater than or equal to 10, is 10 greater than or equal to 10? Yes. So we have a closed circle. If it's just less than or greater than, then you have an open circle. So we would have our arrow pointing this way. Sorry, my work is really messy. But open circle for greater than or less than without the equal to sign. But if you have an equal to sign underneath, it's a closed circle. Okay, so now back to this rule right here, multiply or divide by a negative number. You have to change the direction of the sign because originally we had a greater than sign right here, but now it's a less than. The reason why you have to do that, so I'll keep the page right here. I'm just gonna write a little example right here. So this is a separate example. Let's say that we had 3 is greater than 2. So this is our example right here. 3 is greater than 2. Now, if you so it's multiply or divide. Multiply or divide. If you times each of these sides by, let's say, a -2, so I'm just multiplying each side by -2. It's not going to really change anything because I'm doing it to both sides. So what's -2 times 3? That's -6. And notice, it was 3 greater than 2. Yeah. So what we started with right here, 3 is greater than 2. Let me see if I can get a highlighter. So this is what we started with. 3 is greater than 2. And you're going to see why multiplying by a negative number, and it also works for dividing, is going to actually make this an incorrect statement. 3 is greater than 2 is a correct statement. And let's see why that doesn't work. So 2 times -2 is -4. Now, is -6 greater than -4? So this is what we changed the equation to. Is that true? No, that is not true. So that's why you have to flip the sign right here. So I have to flip the sign. Is -6 less than -4? Yes, that is true. So the reason why you have to flip the sign is because if you divide or times or divide by a negative number, you are actually making that making this number a larger negative number, which means that it's lower than what it was. So that's why you have to flip the sign. If you don't totally get that right now, that it's not the biggest deal. So going forward, you'll relearn it. It's not the biggest deal, but that's just like a small little thing that you need to know, because when you go to check your answers, you will find that this will be pointed that way, and you might have point the other way, and you're gonna be wondering why. Why is this wrong? Why did you get this answer over here in the beginning versus this one right here? That's because you have to flip the sign. So flip the inequality. Okay, so I think that's it. Now, if you're having trouble with number 7, all you got to do is you would subtract, because this is the reason why I'm picking this one out, is because this one's got a fraction in here. You're going to subtract 4 from both sides, and then you're going to times by 3 from both sides to get rid of that 3. And then you'll probably get like n is less than or equal to like 6, or something like that. Anyway, so that's it for this 2-step inequalities. Now I'm going to make the other video for the next one. It'll be much shorter because I went through a lot of stuff in this one. The other one's very similar to this, just has an extra step. Okay, that's it.